like to get started. I would like to welcome you to our GoToMeeting judge training for the 2016 Wisconsin Engineering Design Competition. My name is Patricia Dibert, and I want to personally thank you for returning as a judge in our competition for high school students across the state of Wisconsin. The competition is open to all biomedical innovation and engineering design and development students in the state of Wisconsin who are currently enrolled in one of the Project Lead the Way capstone courses. The impetus behind this competition is to give students the opportunity to move yet another high school project from a box in the attic to an opportunity to have their work reviewed by a panel of experts. That panel of experts is you, and the possibility of having a feasibility study completed on their portfolio to determine the marketability of their design solution. This competition has been generously funded by Rockwell Automation and supported by the Small Business Development Center and Wisconsin Innovation Service Center housed at UW-Whitewater under the leadership of Mr. Ronald Bud Gayhart. Milwaukee School of Engineering has provided time in my schedule to orchestrate the administrative support needed to offer this competition to our PLTW network. This year we have over 140 students registered representing 24 schools. That translates into a potential of roughly 50 portfolios if all registered teams submit. We currently have. For your information, today's session will be recorded and made available on YouTube for future reference. I will send the link out to you as soon as Elliot gets it to me. With us today is Mr. Elliot Mork from the PLTW National Office. Elliot will walk us through the scoring rubric, which is embedded in the Innovation Portal, where students have submitted their portfolios. The judging window is June 8th through July 15th. I would ask that you judge the portfolios based on how well the team has completed the elements of the rubric, not on the idea or problem. How well students can document the design process of their problem solution is what I am asking you to judge. Connected to your evaluation of how well a team has documented their work is scholarship money, as well as the opportunity for a feasibility study by the Wisconsin Innovation Center. The competition is based on documentation, not idea. This reflects how well the student team understands the documentation process. Upon completion of your work, I will tabulate the results and personally contact the top teams. This year, we will be recognizing our winners at a special ceremony on August 3rd. Again, thank you for volunteering your time. Without further ado, let me turn control over to Elliot.
Thank you, Patricia, for the introduction. Before we get going, I want to check a few things. First, that you see my screen if you're on a computer and you can hear me. I successfully unmuted, and that you found the chat box. So if you could send me a message in the chat box just to let me know that we verify those three things. The chat box.
Elliot, this is Judy Steininger. I'm having trouble getting on my website, but just keep going. I'm taking notes. So I'll get there. They're sending me a new password. So keep going. I'll take notes.
All right, thank you. It looks like we're getting some in the chat box as well, so thank you for that. The chat box can also be a resource for putting any questions in as we go through this training. That's especially going to be important because, as I understand, most, if not all, of you on the call today have already been through one round of judging. And so what that means is I'm going to go pretty quick through a lot of things. We're only scheduled for half an hour, so I'm going to go pretty fast. If I go through something too quickly and you want me to go back, feel free to either unmute yourself or jump in the chat and ask a clarifying question. There's only like 2 or 3 things that can be confusing if you're a returning judge to judge again, just because your account behaves a little bit differently if you already have been judging in the past. So I'll make sure to point those out as we go through it. Starting with these slides again, I'm going to go pretty quickly through this because you've done this whole process before. I'm going to cover creating an innovation portal account. I think you all have done that. Getting connected to the competition. A quick overview of the online system. The rubric. We're going to go a little bit into the rubric and to click through. I'm going to show you again how you actually go through and review submissions that students are putting in. I do want to highlight again that July 15th is when the judging is due, so you'll be getting access to portfolios to review the 7th or 8th, I believe. 7th, I think, is when students are due. 6th, right in there, 7th or 8th, you'll be getting portfolios, and then you'll have until July 15th to get those back in and send them to the competition administrator. This is just some slides about how to create your account. If you have any issues and you don't have an account or you can't recover the account from last year, please let me know. My email address is emork@pltw.org and was on the prior slide. If you have any issues reactivating the account from last year, just shoot me an email and we can get that settled if the password recovery doesn't work on the website. Kind of how the competition works. Students right now are in the submission window, so they still have a little bit of time to put together their portfolios. They can submit it right now, but they still have a little bit more time to work on it if they'd like to, and put it inside the competition. You'll be getting your portfolios early next month, and then you'll have a few weeks and then send the scores back to the competition administrator. Just a quick overview of the innovation portal. Anyone can create portfolios. It's not only competitions that are hosted on the innovation portal, although it's been a large area of growth and success is these competitions. But anyone can create a free account and use it as an engineering design process documentation tool. And there's multiple competitions, and so just to highlight, there's more than just the Wisconsin competition that happens on the innovation portal. We have quite a few this past year. The Wisconsin is one of the later ones in the spring that occurs, so you see less of them hosted right now. But we've had quite a few this spring, and we even have had an international competition host on the innovation portal, and students can submit to multiple if they're eligible for them. And they can create as many portfolios as they want and use the work that they do in the innovation portal as a portfolio tool for school admissions or continuing and keeping that account for years to come. I want just any questions about the overview of the innovation portal and what it is before we jump into a click through just to show you how to do that evaluation. I'm going to do a quick pause. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So this is the screen. This is what the screen you get. You land on when you log into the innovation portal. We have a menu bar on the left-hand side, and you're in My Portfolios. You probably don't have any portfolios unless you've used it for another purpose. But for judging, you're not going to have access to any portfolios unless you've created them. What you do have is our notifications. So you can look here anytime that you are accepted as a judge or invited as a judge to a competition. You'll get a notification here. And that notification looks like this one down here. A little bit one further down. Maybe they're not there anymore. A lot of notifications on this account. You won't have near that many. When you're assigned to review submissions, you'll receive these notifications in here. So this is what that looks like that you don't have quite yet because students are still working on the portfolios. So this is just a demo portfolio name. And for the example, for the opportunity training example, which we'll be working with today, but your opportunity name will be the Wisconsin competition. So to actually get access to the portfolios that you're going to be evaluating, what you'll need to click is opportunities. It doesn't say competitions because there are other things that happen that are, so more general broad name we used for opportunities here. Right now you can see the 2016 Wisconsin Engineering Design competition and the Minnesota competition. So those are the last two of the spring season for competitions. I want to bring your attention to, and this is one of the things that kind of trip judges up once in a while, is right now it's filtered by only current competitions, and that means the only competitions that are in that student submission window are listed here. So there's only 2 current competitions in that phase. Most of them have moved over to the past. When you log in to do your evaluation of student work, your portfolios and your reviews will be in this past filter. So you want to click that, because the Wisconsin competition will move by the time that you get assigned reviews to do. So we can see the 2015 Wisconsin Engineering Design Competition. This one will disappear as soon as the 2016 comes into this past filter. So you'll be looking for the the 2016 Wisconsin Engineering Design Competition and clicking that one. For the purposes of showing you today, just reminding you how to do a click through, we're going to go into this training example competition listed here. The first page we're landed on is a view of the whole competition, so you can take a look at the summary of the competition. There's very little content loaded here just because it's a training demonstration. One thing to know that you are a verified judge for this year, for 2016, if you click on the 2016 and see this blue bar on top. So that's one area of confusion too, especially if you're returning to click on 2015 instead of 2016. Best of us do it. I've done it with other competitions and confused the years. So if you want to verify that you're a judge for the current year, you can go into the 2016 and then verify that you have this blue bar on top to make sure you're a judge for this current year. Once you're here, you can click on Reviews, and you will have listed nothing right now because you're not assigned any reviews to do. But once the reviews are assigned to you after the competition moves from student submission phase into judge evaluation phase, Patricia will assign you some reviews to do here. You'll see the total number up here. You'll receive somewhere between 3 and 5 portfolios. We hear from judges that it takes about an hour per portfolio to evaluate, but you having done it before will probably have a better idea of exactly how long it has taken you in the past. So this account right now, I have 15 reviews that have completed out of the 21 assigned to it. And that just means that I've completed 15 trainings this spring, and I have a few more to go, 21 total. So if we scroll down, we can actually take a look at each review that we're assigned and look at the status. So this one is complete. That means it's already been evaluated. I've already done it. So we want to scroll down to find one that is active. So this dog restraint one is active here. We can still evaluate this one. So we're going to click into that. It's the way to actually see the portfolio. So this is a sample portfolio that we use for training purposes, and some personal information is redacted, but you'll get the full student information, whatever they load in here. We have the right-hand menu bar, the cover page, and then elements A through N, 14 different tabs. And this is the rubric built in. So there's nothing to evaluate on the portfolio cover page. So we can go ahead and click into the first element to start to evaluate this. The pen icon on the bottom right-hand corner is where you actually put your score in, and that's something that also sometimes confuses judges, is that you can view the rubric in this window. You have as just a refresher, you have your reflective questions right here, and you have your linear scale, kind of like a stair step going up in scores. There should be the same amount of space in between each score, and it should be a linear form of best fit. So what I mean by that is if you're looking at a score of 3, you think it's close to a 3, it doesn't have to meet every single requirement to be a 3, but it has to be at least meet the requirements of a 2 and then be closer to a 2 than a 3. So when you're evaluating, the hardest part as a judge, and I'm probably all aware of this, is really being specific and following the rubric, and so that you have the best possible score for that student work, because in a virtual setting it's hard to kind of calibrate yourself to the quality of work, and so we really fall onto the specific details of the ED PPSR rubric to make sure all of our scores as judges are similar to each other for the same student work. So we really dig in and look at the exact definition of what a 2 is versus what a 3 is, and decide which one this is closer for this student work that we're viewing here. One thing that's new this year that you may not, you may have seen a little bit of it in the previous years evaluating, are these scored element examples are extremely well fleshed out now. So even more information that you have at your fingertips as a judge is not only the rubric that was designed by engineering educators and researchers, but you also have their scored examples to know exactly what their thought process was while creating the rubric and then evaluating some test portfolios. So before I click on this, I want to direct your attention to the upper left-hand part of my screen, and then I'm going to go ahead and click this link here. So this PDF file, it may behave a little bit differently on your computer depending on your computer settings and browser, but no matter what, whether you're downloading a PDF or opening a new tab, you still have this available on the other tab, the student work that's still here, and this is for A, element 3. So if we click back over here, we have a paragraph description of the thought process that those engineering evaluators and researchers, engineering teachers and researchers were their thought process while looking at this portfolio. So we have a commentary. So this got scored for element A, a score of 3, the student work that we're about to look at. Some of them thought it was a score of 4, but general consensus came to a 3. So it's not an exact science, but we can do the best that we can by following the rubric here. So we get their thought process. Just a reminder of the context within the rubric, where it falls. This is element A in the first component. And then if we scroll down, we can see the full rubric description for each score for this element A, and this one it received a score of 3. And if we scroll down, we see the actual student work, and this is really the powerful tool. The commentary in the student work is extremely valuable to you as a judge to be able to load in valid evaluations of student work that you're assigned, and you can really dig into the specifics of why certain portfolios are evaluated the way that they're evaluated. And I think last year some of these may have been available, but it's now available pretty well integrated into the innovation portal. Are there any questions so far about the rubric or the PDF files available?
I have a question. This is Pete Haydock. Are the comments shared with the students and the mentors?
Good question. I haven't gotten there yet, but we can go there. We can go there right now. So there's a couple different uses that your comments could go to. So I'm not sure what happened last year. That might be a specific question for Patricia at some point. But there's 3 uses that it potentially could go to. The first one is feedback to students and teachers. Typically, what I see are competition administrators supplying comments to the teacher, who then can use that as an instructional tool if they find it appropriate with the students. So that's the first use, is feedback to the actual students. Not the most beneficial for the students, because you're doing more of a summative evaluation, and they won't really have a chance to change anything until they submit it to the competition. It's kind of the point of evaluation for them, but still useful for students that are wanting to develop their idea further past just this competition. The second use of the comments are any portfolios that are scored extremely close together near the top. The competition administrator may go to the comments to gain a little bit more information about which portfolio should get first place or second place, not based strictly just on the scores, but also on the comments that the judges put in to understand what they were focusing on in the score evaluation. So that's the second one, is kind of like tiebreaker scenarios. The third use of the comments, I mentioned that there's engineering educators and researchers that developed the ED-PPSR rubric. There's current ongoing research right now studying the agreement between judge evaluation scores, and so how consistent are judges, looking at how consistent they are and what training resources that we provide to them to allow for more consistent scores. And part of their process, they use comments to understand a little bit of your thought process when evaluating, to see like what part of the rubric that you focused in on. So 2 judges could be focusing on the rubric and submitting scores and come up with different scores if they focus on different components. And so the researchers can use the judge comments to understand a little bit more of the thought process of the score that you assign a portfolio. Good question though. So lots of uses for the comments in those 3 ways. So I open this up. This is the score sheet, this little blue pen icon. And when you're clicking over here on the right, clicking these numbers are not actually loading scores. This is not saved. This is not you assigning a score to it. And even I haven't had programming time to actually fix this, but if you have the A expanded, it hides a little blue icon. So I want to point this out pretty clearly, that you got to move your icon to the left, and then you have access to that blue icon down there. And that opens up your score sheet. In the science fair analogy, this is the piece of paper on a clipboard that you actually have to score the project. This is the thing that you'll give to the scorekeeper. That is actually the record of you evaluating it. So if we thought this one got a score of 4, we can click the 4. You also have the ability to open up the same rubric that's on the right-hand side embedded into a pop-up window here and revisit the rubric text here. But it gets a little cluttered, and we can close that. So then go to the comments. We can put in a comment here. Putting in a comment. We can put the comment here. Everything is saved automatically. There's no save button. Innovation Portal automatically just every couple microseconds saves whatever you do. So there's no save button. If we close the score sheet and then open it up again, it's still there. So if we close that and we go to B, we can do the exact same thing. Open up a score sheet. Let's say this didn't do so hot on this one, so we got a 1. And this element wasn't great. Maybe our comment is that. So 1, we can close that and do that for each element. If there's any element that has no text, it should receive a score of 0. There's no text, no score, except for the last 2 elements here. M and N are more holistic elements that evaluate the entire portfolio. So there's no specific content for it. It's about presentation and writing like an engineer. And so those 2 ones shouldn't have content, but you still load a score that's relevant for the entire rubric, for the entire student work, the whole portfolio. So once you've gone through all those, the next step is to click Complete Review. This is the last step and last ability for you to make any changes before you actually send the scores in. Once you send the scores in, it's kind of like dropping it in the mail and finalizing it. You can't take that paper back because we need a final record of everything being closed down. It's generally advisable, and I think Patricia actually talked with some of you, that to do all of the scoring and then for each portfolio you're assigned and not submit them until you complete all of them and then submit all of them afterwards. And you can do that. You can either go through one at a time or wait until the end. You've done all of them, make any changes that you want to make, and then submit them all at the end. So if there's any question marks, that's a red flag to you to know that you missed that specific element on this portfolio. We can review our comments and our scores, and then once we verify that they are where we want them to be, this is how to finalize it. You click this radio button here, and then Complete Review is like dropping in the mail, committing to it. And this is the step you wouldn't want to do until you have all the scores locked in. And anything previous to this point, you could go back and change. But let's go ahead and do that here. And click Complete Review, and we're done. So this page, we're now on that left-hand navigation bar. We're under My Reviews. This is another thing that may be a little bit confusing if you're a returning judge, but kind of a neat feature as well is you still have all the reviews that you did for last year still in your account here. Any review that you've done, you still have access to here. So this is not only for the current competition, but any other competitions or any reviews you did as a project mentor directly to students. And so this is a huge list of every single review that I've done in this account, and you may have some that are not relevant for this year as well. Which one did we just do? I think dog restraint is the portfolio we just took a look at. We can verify that it is complete. Green tag icon, anything that's active. Once you have assignments and have not completed them, then they'll have that active tag on them. Anything that you've completed already, you can click on. You can see the same content here. Here's a portfolio cover page, element A, all the same stuff, except we're missing that blue pen icon in the bottom right, and that means that we can't change the scores. We can't load any scores associated with it. We can, however, click Review Summary, and we have those same scores that we loaded with the comments, and so we can review our work. So you can review work that you've sent in for this year's competition and previous year's competitions, review all of that through that Reviews tab. But if you want to only look at the current year's reviews, so you don't click an old review or something like that, you can go back into opportunities. You can go into past. Again, we're in current right now, and that's where it lives right now, but it will move to past, so you'll have to click that past button. And then it'll be 2016 design, Wisconsin Engineering Design Competition, but for this case, we'll use training example. And we can go to our reviews. And we see that list again. And so now we have 16 of 21 complete instead of 15 of 21, so we've completed one more. We still have the same baseline 21. And if we scroll down, we can find the dog restraint is now status of complete. And then so the next step would be going into finding the next active portfolio and then starting the evaluation of the next one here. So that's pretty much that's pretty much it. Quick refresher of how the online system works. I'd be happy to answer any questions. The last thing I want to say is just is thank you. Virtual platforms are great with convenience to be able to judge, but they're not so great when you don't get very many opportunities to say thank you for the impact that you're making to students and the opportunity you're allowing for them to get their work outside the classroom. So I do want to take this opportunity just to say thank you for doing the work that you're doing. You're providing a key element to the whole competition to allow that opportunity for recognition to students in the state. So thank you, and with that, I will turn it back to Patricia.
Well, thank you, Elliot. Following this, I will be sending you a PDF copy of the complete grading rubric, as well as the link to the YouTube video so that you can have this as a refresher. I will send you a reminder email when I put portfolios in your bucket. Elliot and I will be doing that on June 7th, so June 8th through the 15th is when I would like you to be reviewing those portfolios and getting the scores in. Again, please do your judging based on documentation, not on ideas. And in the past, some of our judges, and this idea may have come from you, is to consider judging all the portfolios before you submit, or consider judging all element A's in all of your portfolios and then moving on to B. Some of our judges find that to be good. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions, and I just cannot thank you enough for volunteering to participate as a judge again this year. Any questions for us?
Patricia, I'm getting some chats that's saying that your audio may be going in and out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't lean in far enough. Okay. Any other questions for us?
I'll come later, Pat.
Okay.
But we start doing it. That's when the questions start.